Hi friends, this is Manish Pandey. Welcome back. Today we are going to learn about the next important part of UiPath Queue. We'll learn today how to get items from queue in UiPath, how to use get transaction item activity in UiPath Studio, how to process each queue items in UiPath, how to use reference and apply filter to the queue items in UiPath, how to change the item status in UiPath Queue, how to change the custom progress status of the queue items in UiPath, and how to use close tab in UiPath. So let's start practically. I'm not going to show you any theory part here. So let me open the UiPath Studio. Okay, so here as of now you know that how to add the items to the queue using add queue item or bulk add queue item activity. Now I'm going to tell you how to get the items from the queue and process that items. I'm going to show you in the orchestrator. In the previous video we have used this RPA queue and we have added the items transactions here in the queue items, and we have the 10 items. You can see the details here. We have the first name, last name, company name, role, address, email, phone number. So now our step is we need to get the data, like we need to get these details, this first name, last name, company name, and we need to enter these data into the text field. This is address, email. So we are going to automate this automation challenge website. So first of all, you know that we need to open this automation challenge website, and the step is we have to click on the start, and then we need to get the data, we need to process here, and then click on submit. So for that we will take this URL, and here we will take one open browser and we'll connect here, and then we'll paste the URL so that we can open the browser, and we'll select the browser type. I'm going to use Chrome, and now we need to get the data from the queue items. For that we have a activity that is called get transaction item activity. You will get from the here from the queue orchestrator under queues. So this is the activity get transaction item. It is used to get an item from the queue so that you can process it. It updates the status from the new to in progress when transaction started. So I'm going to just take this activity get transaction item, drag and drop here, and we need to put the input here as a queue name. So we have the queue name RPA underscore queue, because we are going to use this queue name RP underscore queue. Here in the transaction item, it is used to retrieve the data, retrieve the transaction item from the queue. We need to take one variable, control K, and this will be like transaction item. The next step is we need to check the data, we need to check the transaction item. If we have the data in this variable, then we'll move further, and if you don't have the item in the queue in the transactions item in this variable, then we'll just say as there is no data to proceed. So for that we'll take one condition, that is flow decision, and we'll just put the condition here. If trans item is nothing, it means there is no data in the trans item variable, then it will write a log message here, and we'll write here there is no records to process. So do you know why I am taking this condition flow decision? If I will not take this decision, then at the end after processing each items it will throw an error, because at the end it will get the data from the queue from the orchestrator, and it will try to enter there, it will try to process. So at that time if there is no data, then it will throw an error. So that's why we are using this condition, that if trans item is nothing, it means there is no data in the trans item, this is in the variable, then it will just write a log message, and if it has the data, then it will move further, it will process the data. So for that, in the false sections we will first get the data from the transaction item variable from here, and then we'll store in a variable so that we can directly use that variable in our process transaction. We will take one sequence, we'll connect here, and this is used to store the data, store the value. So here in the false section we will take one assign activity, and we have the data in the first name. We'll take one variable that is first name, and here we are going to get the data from this TransItem variable. So we will write here the TransItem dot specific content, open bracket, close bracket. Now here you can see the property dictionary of string object dot item key as a string. So we need to put here as a string. So in the double quotation we need to pass the name in which we have the data in the queue. So first I am going to tell you what is the use of this TransItem as specific content. The TransItem.SpecificContent first name dot toString, it is used to get the value attributed to a queue item displayed in the item details window under the specific data in orchestrator, and assign it to a string variable so that you can process it later. Now what is TransItem? TransItem is a transaction item variable which is used to store the queue items. And what is specific content? It is a function which is used to retrieve a specific data from a queue item. And the first name, this is the argument name that was added in the item information field in property to populate the queue item with the data. The argument name is also displayed in the item details window under specific data in orchestrator. And now the .toString, it is a function which is used to convert from object to a string. Let me show you. Click on the view details. Here you can see this is the specific data. These are the specific contents of this specific data. So that's why we are using the TransItem variable dot specific content. And now first name, so this is the argument name that was added in the item information field in property, and we have taken this first name argument, last name arguments. So we are using the same thing, and you can also see this one from here. This is the specific content, this is the first name, last name, and the company name. So here we are just specifying the name, that is that we are going to get the data from the queue, and the specific content name is first name. So we are going to convert from the object to a string. You can see from here, like this is the specific data and the value is in the object. Here you can see the function object dot toString as a string, so it will convert from the object to toString. Now press OK. Now go to the variables and change the variable type from generic value to a string. So by this way we need to take the data from the variable, that is TransItem variable, and then we need to store into the variable, this first name variable. You can use this complete expression to at the time of process the transaction, but here the better we can assign this value to a variable. Now we need to take one another assign. This is for the last name because we have the last name, so we'll write here Control K last name, and then again this will be TransItem dot specific content last name dot toString. Copy this and paste. Now we have the data, that is company name, role, address, email, phone number. So we'll take here, change here, Control K, enter, and then role. So we'll take Control K, then role, copy this, go to the trans specific content, then paste here. So by this way we have to take for the all. So now we have added for all these fields, phone number, email, address. You can see here you just have to assign the value here, and now we have the data here in the variable, and we can change the scope from store data to the main, that is get queue items, so that this variable can be accessed outside this sequence. Now we have the data in the variable, in the each variables like first name, last name, company name, and then we need to use this variable in the type into activity. So our step is we have to open the browser, click on start. Here in the open browser we need to take one click activity and just indicate on the this start, so that when it will open this website, this rpachallenge.com, then it will click on start first time. Just select the simulate click. Once it is opened, then it will, this activity is used to get the data from the transaction, and then if it has the item, then it will go to the store data, it will store the data into the variables, and if there's no data, then it will log a message. And then we need to take one attached browser, and using this attached browser activity we will use the same browser so that it will start working on that one. Now select this, and then we can put all the process transaction details here inside the do section. So we have to take the type into activity to enter the first name, last name. So we have the 437 fields. So for that we'll take type into activity 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, indicate on elements. So first we need to click on the first name. Now you know that how to automate this RPA challenge, because every time this will just, once we click on submit, the position will be changed. So for that, you know that we need to click here and click on open in UI Explorer, and then click on indicate element. So we'll indicate the element, that is this text field, and then we need to click on the indicate anchor so that it can find the label, that is first name. And now we have the selector here. Only one thing we need to change here, the web control ID, we need to remove this part. Let me remove this and then just save this. So now this is done. We just have to pass the variable name where we have stored the data. You have seen here that we have stored the data into the first name variable. So by this way we can copy the same selector and paste into the each type into, and just change the AA name. Here we just need to change the AA name. This time now AA name is equal to last name, because this is for the last name, and then press OK. And here last name, and now this is for company name, then role, this is for the role, this is for address, email, and then phone number. And then one by one we need to change the selector. Click on selector, paste here, and change the name, that is company name, the label name. So you can see the label name here, the company name, and we just have to paste the label name. And for the role, click on selector, paste here, copy this label name, that role is role in company, and then just paste here. Right, again copy this. Okay, and now this is for address. So we have the address, click on selector, paste here, change the address. And now this is for the email, click on selector, paste this, change the name of the label, that is email, press OK. And now this is for the phone number. So again click on selector, copy the label name, that is phone number, and click OK. Now we are done with the type into activity, and just select. And one more thing we can do, we can select this type into and set a simulate type, so that it will not take too much time to process each items, and also at the time of running the process we can see the status from the orchestrator. Now save this, and from here, after getting the data, after it will put here the phone number, then the next step is it will click on submit. So for that we'll take one click activity. So every time after processing each items, at the end it will click on the submit button. So it will click here the submit, click on simulate click, and now after click on submit, it means if robot has entered all these details into the text field, and if it has clicked on submit, it means it has completed the first one. So we can take the activity that is set transaction status here at the end, and this activity is used to change the status of the transaction item to failed or success. So as we know that it has typed all these details, clicked on submit, so we need to put here this is success. It means first item is success now. So we can select from here, this is success, and we have the failed and success. We can select the success, and from the transaction if we have any error then we can select, and if you don't have then no need to put here. I will tell you about this, how to use this transaction error in the next video. So from the set transaction status we have to select the status and the variable name, that is TransItem. So by this way, at the time of putting the data into the fields, and at the end it will set the status from in progress to successful at the end, and then after that again it will go to get transaction data, get transaction item activity. So this is means once first time this is the transaction item has been fetched from the queue and stored in the variable, and first queue items has been processed, and now again it will go to the get transaction item. It will get another item from the queue, and then again it will check if trans item is nothing, then it will log a message, or if it has one item then it will go to here and then store the data and then process each items, right? So we can use one close tab activity. We'll take this under browser, we'll take this one. So at the end of the data, like if there is no item to process, so it will update the log message and then it will close this browser, this automation challenge browser. So for that, here we need to provide the browser the variable. So we have this open browser, so we already opened this browser. We have to press Ctrl K, and this is the UI browser. It stores the result of the activity as a UI browser object. It stores all the information regarding your browser session. Only browser variables are supported. So you can create a browser variable, that is automation challenge. So this is the browser variable which stores all these details of this browser. Now we can use the same browser variable, so at the end it will close this page, only this tab, this browser. So we just have to use the automation challenge browser, and now this is done. We can run the process here. So now you can see here it is started typing the data here, the first name, last name, and now I'm going to show you in the orchestrator. Close this and refresh this. You can see here the first item has already been processed and it is showing successful. This one is also successful, and the third one is showing in progress. It is typing the data into the fields. Now you can see, refresh again, there are 4 to 5 has been successfully processed. Okay, so now you have seen here the items. This has processed all the items, you can see here, and as we have taken the log message, so it will update the output here. In the output there is no records to process, and it has closed the browser, this RPA challenge website, because we have used the close tab. So by this way we can get the data from the queue, and we can store the data into the one variable, and we can process that each items. And the next one is, I'm going to tell you the use of set transaction progress. It is used to create a custom progress status for in progress transaction. Let me put here, and you can just write here the progress. This is just a string, so this is your custom progress. You can write here first name has been added, and the transaction item you can write here TransItem, this is variable, and again you can take transaction progress at the end, and you can write here going to finish. So by this way you can set the custom progress for each items. So every time when it will process, it will go to the browser, it will open the browser, and then after putting the first name into the RPA automation challenge, it will write the status to the queue for that item, that is first name has been added, and then after that it will go to the here. After email, it will first write the status that is going to finish. Let me again delete this queue, delete the items, and create again. So now we have the 10 records again, and now let's run this. So you can see here again the status that is in progress, the view details. You can see here the now the progress is going to finish. This has been already completed, the first part, that is first name has been completed. Now the progress is going to finish, and now the next one is successful, right? So it is not taking too much time because we have selected simulate type click activity options from the property, and now you can see here the details of the items. This is successful, normal priority, the started time, end time, robot. You can download these reports from here. Click on download, it will export in Excel file, that's CSV. Open this, and you can see here that a status is successful, and if you have any failed or anything, then it will show here. Now normal priority, robot this, started time this, and end time is this. You can see here the transaction execution times. It took 5 to 6 seconds for one item processing. 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, like this. And retry number, it means it has not retried, because if the application the items will fail with application exception, then it will retry if you have selected the auto retry option while creating the queue. So by this way we can see the output here in the Excel file. You can export the data. And now the important things is, I'm going to tell you about this reference filter strategy. So what is the use of this? Let's suppose you have the Excel file, and in which you have the data like first name, last name, company name, and you want to just process the items where the role is analyst or accountants, programmer only, or you want to process the items where the phone number is this or the name is John. So you can put the reference, and you can put the filter here, and by that way it will just process only that specific item. Or you can, let me take here, you can take a status, and let's suppose you have a status that is ready to process or not ready. You have to 4 to 5 items that is not ready, and 4 to 5 items that are ready to process. And by this way you just want to process the item where the status is ready to process. So what we'll do, we will again remove this because process all this data. Now remove this from the add queue item. I'm going to take the data from the Excel, that is a status also. So I'm going to take this argument, that is a status, and this will be a row status dot toString, and press OK. So this time it will add the status also to the queue, and here in the reference row double quotation status dot toString. So by this way we will add the status to the queue, and then based on that we will get the status from the queue and will process. Now let me run this, save this and run this. Close the Excel file. Okay, now we can see here in the view transaction, now we have the reference added here, that is ready to process, not ready. And now our requirement is we need to process only those data, those items where the reference is ready to process. So for that, at the time of getting the transaction item, we have the option, that is filter strategy and reference. We can put here that if transaction item equal to ready to process. So what will happen at the time of getting the transaction item, it will get only ready to process data, and then it will update only those items. We have the 6 items which will be processed in this run. Now run this, and now you can see here it will not process the not ready status. Let me open the orchestrator. Okay, now you can see from the RPA queue transaction here that here the status is successful only for the reference where the ready to process, and where the item reference is not ready, it is still new, because the robot will not touch this items because the status is the reference is not ready, because we have already set the transaction reference here that if ready to process, then it will update this, it will process that, right? You can download this and see the status from Excel file, and you can see here the reference is ready to process and successful, not ready, new, and ready to process, successful. Now in the next video we'll learn about the application exceptions and business exception, and we'll learn how to retry items which is failed due to application exception, and also we'll see the practical example of application exception and business exception. So thank you so much friends, thank you for watching this video. If you have not subscribed this channel, then please subscribe, and please like this video. If you have any question, then please comment on video or send me a mail. Thank you.